she stole from a mafia boss 2 years ago. Then he walked into her restaurant with 50 men. Glass didn't just shatter, it screamed. The front door of the restaurant didn't open. It was ripped off its hinges. A storm of rain and shards tore through the cozy Italian air, scattering laughter like frightened birds. Tables toppled. Someone screamed, and then silence. Men in black suits poured through the doorway like a moving shadow. No shouting, no chaos, just rhythm. Boots hitting tile in perfect, terrifying unison. At their center walked a man who carried stillness like a loaded gun. Adrian Vale, the kind of man the world whispered about but never looked directly at. The kind whose silence was louder than most people's screams. No one here knew his name, but the air did. Even the lights seemed to dim for him. He didn't shout. He simply asked, his voice low and calm. "Where's the manager?" Behind the counter, Bruno DeSanti froze mid-panic. His fake grin melted, leaving behind a twitching jaw and sweat-slicked temples. "This is private property," he stammered. "You can't just wrong answer," Adrian said softly. Rico, the tall man behind him, took a single step forward. 2 more followed. The restaurant shrank to half its size in that moment. And that's when Bruno's panicked eyes landed on her, Elena Marek. The waitress with the chip smile. She was frozen mid-step, tray trembling in her hands. A glass slipped and shattered against the floor, a sound that made Bruno flinch and, for some reason, decide she was his lifeline. He lunged, grabbing her by the arm. Wait. She's the one you're looking for. She's been stealing. I swear." The movement that followed was barely visible, a blur of motion. Then crack. The butt of Adrian's gun met Bruno's jaw with the precision of judgment. The man hit the counter hard, teeth clattering on marble, groaning as the room filled with the heavy silence of fear. "Touch her again," Adrian said, voice still calm. "And I'll forget you used to be human." No one breathed. Even the rain outside seemed to listen. But before the storm, there was Elena. She had worked in this restaurant since she was 16, long enough to know every creak in the floor, every sigh from the espresso machine, and every bruise that didn't come from clumsiness. Bruno DeSanti, the so-called manager, had built his kingdom out of fear. He'd shout at her for being late, even when her delay was because she'd stayed overnight at the hospital, watching her little brother Lucas sleep. He'd call her useless, then make her serve the richest tables, whispering insults disguised as advice. And when customers weren't looking, his hand sometimes brushed too close too long. She'd learn to laugh it off, to survive it quietly, to keep her head down. Because Luca needed his medicine. Because good people don't always have choices. Every dollar she earned went into the jar hidden beneath her bed. For rent, for Luca's next hospital visit, for the life she promised him they'd have someday far from here. She was saving for freedom. Until Bruno started taking half her pay to cover broken plates. That's when something inside her cracked. The kindness didn't fade, it hardened. And now, that same man who humiliated her in whispers was bleeding on the marble floor in front of everyone. "You think she's innocent?" Bruno spat through broken teeth. "She's a thief. A little rat who Adrian's gun pressed gently under his chin apologized." Bruno blinked, dazed. "For what?" "For forgetting she bleeds the same as you." The words hit Elena like a punch. No one had ever spoken for her like that, not even her parents before they died. She didn't understand who Adrian was, or why he cared. But something in his voice didn't sound like kindness. It sounded like ownership. Bruno coughed a laugh, red dripping from his lips. "You want her? Take her. She's yours now." "She's nothing." Adrian's stare didn't waver. Then, calmly, "That's the first truth you've told all night." He turned to his men. "Clean this place." 2 guards grabbed Bruno. The doors to the kitchen swung shut. And moments later, a scream tore through the silence. Raw and short. When it stopped, the restaurant exhaled. "Do you have a coat?" Adrian asked suddenly. She blinked. "What? A coat? Shoes? Anything warm?" I don't understand." "You don't need to." His tone lowered. "You're leaving with me." "I can't," she whispered. "I'll lose my job." He almost smiled pity, not humor. "You just lost it." Tears burned behind her eyes. "Why are you doing this? Who are you?" His expression flickered regret wrapped in danger. Let's just say your manager forgot who he worked for, and you got caught in the crossfire. Her breath hitched. You're not police. No, his voice was calm again. I'm worse. A dull thud echoed from the kitchen final, heavy. Adrian tilted his head. That's your cue, Miss Marek. Every instinct screamed run. But she didn't. Because monsters, she understood this man. She didn't. Outside, rain washed the blood from the pavement. Black cars lined the street, engines humming in the dark. Adrian's men bowed their heads as he passed, as though walking behind a ghost. Elena hesitated before stepping in. What'll happen to him? Adrian didn't look back. What happens to everyone who forgets they're mortal? That's not an answer. No, he said, finally meeting her gaze. It's the only one you'll believe later. The car door closed. The city blurred into rain. And as the headlights cut through the dark, Elena realized the truth with bone-deep certainty. The man who had just saved her wasn't her hero. He was someone's executioner, and she had just been driven into his world. The car sliced through the rain-slick streets, wipers thrashing in rhythm with Elena's heartbeat. She sat motionless in the back seat, her reflection flashing between the lightning strikes, pale, hollow-eyed, soaked in someone else's blood. Adrian Vale sat beside her, silent, watching the city blur by like a dying flame. When the car finally stopped, she saw where they were, a mansion on a cliff, its stone walls glistening under the storm. No warmth, no welcome, just dominance carved into architecture. Rico stepped out first, scanning the perimeter before opening her door. Move.
If you believe good people deserve to be treated well, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And tell me where you are watching from.
He said flatly. Elena hesitated. The guards along the driveway didn't blink, their silhouettes sharp against the rain. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but where? Back into the city where a dozen of Adrian's men prowled. Inside, the silence hit her first. No chatter, no TV hum. Only the faint drip of rain off the eaves and an old jazz tune echoing from somewhere unseen. Adrian handed off his coat without looking at her. Get her dry clothes, he said to someone behind him. I'm fine, she whispered. He stopped walking. You're not. There was no anger in his voice that made it worse. It sounded like a verdict. A woman appeared, tall, sharp-eyed, dressed in black silk. I'll handle her, she said. Mara. Adrian replied with a brief nod. Mara motioned for Elena to follow her upstairs. Every hallway felt like a maze, portraits of people who never smiled, corridors that swallowed sound. The guest room was obscene in its luxury. Velvet curtains, a bed big enough to swallow her. She didn't touch anything. You should shower, Mara said, folding a towel with mechanical precision. Mr. Vale doesn't like to wait. For what? Mara's expression didn't change. To decide if you're a problem. The door clicked shut. Elena stood there trembling. Then she moved, stripping away the wet uniform, watching blood and rain spiral down the drain. But no amount of water could wash off what she'd seen. Bruno's eyes as Adrian's men dragged him away. The screams cut short when she finally went downstairs. Adrian was there, sleeves rolled, drink in hand, staring into the fire like it was confessing to him. Sit, he said. She hesitated. Sit. She obeyed, her hands clasped tight in her lap. He slid a plate toward her. Eat. I'm not eat. The command in his tone left no room for choice. She took a bite just to prove she wasn't scared. She was. Why did you come to that restaurant? She asked quietly. He didn't look up. Because your manager was stealing from me. That's not the whole story. It's the part that matters. You could have sent anyone. You didn't need 50 men. Finally, he met her eyes. 50 men wasn't for him. It was for whoever came after. She frowned. After? There's always someone watching, he said. Sometimes I let them. She stared at him, trying to decipher if that was a threat or a confession. And me? She asked, a small, cold smile. You were an inconvenience I didn't plan for. You're lying. He took a slow sip of whiskey. Maybe, but I did save your life. By killing my boss. His silence was the answer. You think that makes you a hero? She pressed. I don't believe in heroes, he said. Only debts. She felt the weight of his words settle over her like a shroud. You have two choices, Adrian said finally. You leave now, and you won't survive the night. Or what? Or you work for me. She almost laughed. The sound came out broken. You kidnap me, threaten me, and then offer me a job. It's safer here than out there. I'd rather die. His gaze hardened. But there was a flicker of something else behind it. Regret, maybe. Don't say that so easily. People might take you up on it. The room went quiet again. The fire cracked. Rain pounded the windows like fists. Then he said it, the sentence that ripped the air apart. You stole from me once. Her blood ran cold. What? 2 years ago. My career, my wallet, your brother's hospital bill. Her jaw trembled. How do you? I never forget a face, he said. Especially one that lies to survive. She stumbled back, gripping the edge of the chair. You knew? All this time? I wanted to see what kind of person desperation would turn you into. And what did you see? He tilted his head. Someone who still hasn't learned when to stop fighting. Tears filled her eyes. You could have had me killed. I almost did. He said simply, but mercy lasts longer. The phone on the table buzzed before she could speak. Adrian picked it up. Talk. Rico's voice crackled through the line. Someone leaked the footage from the restaurant. They know you went in yourself. It's spreading. Adrian's eyes darkened. Who leaked it? Still digging. But it came from inside. Someone close. He ended the call, the glass in his hand creaking under the pressure of his grip. Elena swallowed. What's happening? He turned slowly, studying her. A war. Her stomach twisted. Because of me? Because of someone who wants it to look that way. He stepped closer. The firelight flickered over his face, turning him half angel, half monster. If you're lying to me, Elena, I'm not. He leaned in until she could feel his breath on her skin. Then pray the traitor fears me more than they want me dead. He straightened, slipping his coat back on. Lock the doors. Don't trust anyone. Before she could ask why, he was gone, leaving behind only the echo of his footsteps and the bitter scent of smoke. Elena stood frozen. Then she looked toward the staircase, and for a split second she swore she saw Mara watching her from the shadows, smiling. The mansion no longer felt alive. It breathed like something holding its last gasp. Guards pacing, whispers bleeding through walls, phones ringing and dying mid-call. For 2 days, Elena lived like a ghost in someone else's nightmare. No one told her she was a prisoner. They didn't need to. Every morning, breakfast appeared by her door untouched by human hands. Every night, the lights dimmed on their own. Adrian Vale didn't speak to her, not once. But she felt him in the silence, a presence too heavy to ignore. On the third night, she followed the sound of voices down the hall. I told you to keep it quiet, Adrian snapped, his voice sharp as cut glass. I did, Rico answered, low and tight. But someone's been feeding them info. Someone close. You think it's her? A long pause. Then Rico said, Boss, she's either cursed or playing you. Elena's pulse stumbled. Watch your words, Adrian said, the calm in his tone more dangerous than anger. You think she's capable of this? I think everyone's capable of something when they're desperate enough. She didn't wait to hear more. She backed away, her bare feet silent on the marble, heart racing. When she reached her room, she locked the door and pressed her back to it, trembling. They thought she was the leak. And the worst part, she didn't even know if she could prove she wasn't. The next morning, Adrian appeared without warning. His shirt collar was open, his eyes rimmed red from sleepless nights. Pack a bag, he said. Her voice cracked. Why? Where are we going? Somewhere quieter. Or somewhere no one hears me scream? He gave her a flat look. If I wanted you dead, Elena, you wouldn't wake up to breakfast every morning. Then what do you want from me? He didn't answer. He just walked away. She followed, not out of obedience, but because the silence behind him was worse than the fear ahead. They drove for hours through mist-soaked countryside until the city disappeared. The road ended at an old villa surrounded by fields and fog. Guards were stationed everywhere, but the place still felt abandoned, like even the ghosts had moved out. Inside, Adrian shut the door. No one here will bother you, he said, or hear you. Her pulse thudded. You're scaring me. Good. She flinched. What are you going to do? He stepped closer, his voice dropping. Ask questions. You're going to answer them. I've already told you the truth, then explain this. He dropped a folder onto the table. Photos scattered. Her at the hospital, her with Luca, her leaving the restaurant, and one that made her blood run cold. Marco, her stepbrother, older, smiling, alive in the photo, but he shouldn't have been. Where did you get that? She whispered. Adrian's jaw flexed. You tell me. He used to work for me, killed my most trusted man, stole $500,000 in cash, then disappeared until his number started showing up in your call history. Elena shook her head violently. I didn't know it was him. I swear. You expect me to believe that? He called me months ago, said he knew I stole from one of your couriers. I didn't know who he was. He threatened to expose me unless I paid him. I thought he was some random thug. I didn't know it was Marco. Adrian's expression didn't soften, but something in his eyes shifted. A shadow, maybe. Or regret. He's been dead for weeks, Adrian said quietly. Shot in the back trying to sell my money to the wrong people. Her heart stopped. He's dead? Adrian nodded. But his mess isn't. The people he worked with think you're his insurance policy, his blood, which makes you mine by default. I'm not yours. You are now, he said, because that's the only way you stay alive. You can't just decide that. I already did. He poured himself a drink, his tone cooling. You'll stay here until I clean this up. No phone calls. No visitors. She rose, fists trembling. You're locking me up, protecting you. That's not protection. That's control. Adrian turned, his eyes glinting with quiet fury. If I wanted control, I'd chain you to that chair. But I'm giving you walls instead of bullets. Don't confuse mercy with ownership. Then why do you look at me like that? She demanded. He froze. Like what? Like I remind you of something you lost. He didn't answer. He just turned and left. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps coming for her. When she finally dozed off, fire filled her dreams, the restaurant in flames, Bruno's laughter echoing through smoke, Adrian watching it all burn. A soft knock woke her. She opened the door to find Rico, eyes darting down the hall. You shouldn't be up. Why are you here? He hesitated, then handed her a folded paper. Read it, and don't let him see it. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. They found out about Luca. He's leveraged now. Don't trust anyone. Her knees buckled. My brother. They took him. Rico's face tightened. Keep your voice down. I don't know who sent this, but it's bad. Just be ready. Ready for what? Before he could answer, a crash tore through the silence, followed by shouts, gunfire, chaos. Rico swore, drawing his gun. They're here. Who? But she didn't need the answer. The enemy had found them. Rico grabbed her arm. Go! Out the back, the door exploded before he could finish. Men stormed in black coats, suppressed weapons. Rico fired back, dropping two before a bullet ripped through his shoulder. Run, Elena! He roared. She bolted down the hall, glass shattering behind her. The night outside was alive with gunfire and rain. She reached the back exit and froze. Adrian stood there, bleeding from his arm, eyes burning. They came for you, he said, and you brought them straight to me. Her voice broke. I didn't, he advanced, furious and raw. Someone sold us out, and I swear, if it's you, it's not. She cried. They have Luca. They took my brother. Adrian stopped mid-step. His face shifted, fury collapsing into something darker, heavier. What did you say? They kidnapped him. They're using him against you. For a second, the rain was the only sound. Then Adrian exhaled, a low curse escaping his lips. They want to trade my life for your brother's. Elena's breath hitched. You're not seriously considering I don't get to choose, he said. They already made the offer. Then don't take it. She pleaded. He stepped closer, eyes haunted. If I don't, Luca dies. If I do, we both burn. The roar of engines cut through the night. Dozens of headlights flared in the rain. Adrian grabbed a rifle from the wall, then handed her a handgun. You wanted freedom? He said, voice low. Earn it. I don't know how to shoot. Then learn fast. And as the first explosion shattered the silence, the villa lit up in flames. The war no longer whispered, but screaming through the night. What if mercy could turn even a monster human? If you've been following this story so far, you know that every decision comes with blood, love, and consequences. If you believe that redemption can still be found in the darkest hearts, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Rain hammered the villa roof, turning every gunshot into thunder. Headlights sliced through the night like knives, bouncing off shattered glass and stone. Adrian's men shouted orders, their voices drowned beneath the roar of engines outside. Elena crouched behind an overturned cabinet, gripping the pistol with trembling hands. Her breath came in jagged bursts. The air stank of gunpowder and wet plaster. Adrian crouched beside her, blood on his sleeve, eyes burning cold. "Stay behind me." "Who are they?" she whispered. "The Marciano family," he said, voice tight. They were Marco's partners before he turned on them. They want what's left of him. And of me. A bullet smashed a window beside them. Shards exploded into the air. Adrian fired back, unflinching, moving with a killer's grace. But for every man that fell, 3 more took his place. "Back room," he barked. They sprinted down the hall, smoke filling their lungs. Rico stumbled from the shadows, his shirt soaked crimson. "Boss," he choked, falling against the wall. "Hold the door," Adrian ordered. Rico met his eyes, the loyalty there stronger than fear. "Don't let them take her." Adrian's jaw tightened. "You won't hold long." Rico managed a weak grin. "Then I'll hold loud." He turned and disappeared into the storm of bullets. Elena followed Adrian down the cellar stairs, coughing. The air below reeked of dust and old wine. The fight above was muffled now, like the house was dying in slow motion. She spun on him, voice cracking. "How long have you known this would happen?" He glared. "You think I invited a war? You live in one." She snapped. "You dragged me into it." Adrian slammed his gun down, the sound echoing. "You think I wanted to care about someone again? The second I did, everything I built went up in smoke." The fury between them felt almost physical. Then came the faint creak of boots above. Adrian's eyes lifted. "They're inside." Adrian, he grabbed her wrist. "There's a tunnel under the cellar. It leads to the old vineyards. Go." "I'm not leaving you here." His voice softened. "You are the only good thing that's happened to me in a decade. Don't make me choose between you and survival." Tears burned her eyes. "Then come with me." He almost smiled, tired, broken. "Someone has to end this." Gunfire ripped through the floorboards. He shoved her toward the trap door. "Go, Elena." The last thing she saw before the tunnel swallowed her was Adrian turning toward the stairs. Gun raised, face set like a man already buried. The tunnel was a throat of darkness. Mud smeared her hands as she crawled, the ground shaking from distant explosions. When she finally emerged, cold rain struck her like knives. The vineyard stretched endless before her. She ran. Branches lashed her arms. Her heartbeat was louder than the storm. Then headlights flared ahead. A black van screeched to a halt, tires skidding through mud. 2 men jumped out. "Elena Marek?" One barked. She froze. "Who are you?" "Your brother's with us," the taller man said. "We came to help." Her pulse stumbled. "Prove it." The door slid open. Inside, her brother Luca sat bound but alive. "Elena," he cried. She stepped closer, tears rising, then stopped. Something was wrong. The driver's eyes weren't nervous. They were patient, waiting. Before she could move, a cold barrel pressed against her neck. "Get in," the man growled. And then bang! The gunman dropped, blood mixing with rain. Another shot cracked the night. Adrian stepped from the shadows, limping, soaked, and furious. His gun smoked in the rain light. "You really thought I'd die that easy?" Elena's breath hitched. "You're how," he smirked faintly. "Rico bought me 30 seconds. That was enough." The driver reached for his weapon, but Adrian shot first, clean through the windshield. Silence fell. Only the rain dared to move. Adrian pulled the van door open, cut Luca free. "Can you run?" Luca nodded weakly. "I think so." "Then go. Both of you." Elena grabbed his arm. "Come with us." He hesitated, scanning the tree line. Sirens wailed in the distance. "They're closing in. If they catch me, they catch you. You saved us. Let us save you." He shook his head. "They'll never stop hunting me. But you You still have a chance at peace. She swallowed hard. Peace isn't what I want. He froze. I want you, she whispered. Adrian's mask slipped for the first time. The monster everyone feared suddenly looked like a man who didn't know how to live anymore. He reached up, brushing rain from her cheek with a trembling hand. You don't know what you're asking for. Maybe not. But I know what it's worth. Sirens grew louder. He stepped back, shaking his head. If I stay, you lose everything. I already lost everything, she said. You just made me want it back. His throat worked, but no words came. Then he leaned forward and kissed her forehead quick, desperate, final. Remember what I told you, he murmured. Mercy isn't weakness. Then show yourself some. He smiled sadly. Too late for that. He shoved her toward the van. Luca dragged her inside as police lights burst over the hill. By the time she looked back, Adrian was gone. Elena and her brother escaped to a faraway city to start a new life. Weeks later, she was walking in another restaurant, as hardworking as she has always been. But when Elena smiled now, it never reached her eyes. Luca was healing slowly, back on his medication. Sometimes she caught him staring out the window like he expected someone to appear. One night, the bell above the door rang. A man in a dark coat stepped inside. His face was half hidden by the shadow of his hat. He didn't say a word, just slid a folded napkin across the counter. On it, a single word written in Adrian's handwriting, alive. Her breath hitched. She looked up, but the door was already closing behind him. Outside, the rain started again, soft and steady, washing the city clean. Elena pressed a napkin to her chest, eyes glistening. Somewhere out there, the man who had stormed into her life with 50 men and a vengeance was still alive, still watching. Maybe from a distance, maybe closer than she'd ever know. And for the first time in years, she smiled small, real, and full of something dangerous. Hope, because mercy wasn't weakness. And in Adrian Vale's world, mercy was the only thing powerful enough to make a monster human. If that ending gave you chills, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories that remind you even in the darkest worlds, humanity can still fight its way through the rain.